everyone so much for being here with us today. My name is Roseanne Santos. I am the Director of Alumni Engagement at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And these are the kinds of events that I live for. I love doing this. I love meeting alum, welcoming them into our virtual space. And we have a really amazing program for you this evening. Before we get started, I want to introduce our Vice President of Institutional Advancement, Keturah Parker.
Thank you so much, Roseanne, for the introduction. I really appreciate your and Megan's exceptional work in coordinating this outstanding program. Our Office of Institutional Advancement is the division that builds transformational relationships and secures meaningful private funding to support the college and its groundbreaking student success initiatives and faculty advancement programs. So what a delight it is to be with you all tonight to advance those kinds of initiatives. We are here, as you know, to celebrate Women's History Month and recognize the invaluable contributions of our women leaders everywhere. And this evening, it is our good fortune to have three exceptional women pioneers, trailblazers, who will share their expertise and wisdom and knowledge with us and their inspiring entrepreneurial journeys. Thank you so much to our wonderful alumni lineup of panelists, Sharon, Teresa, and Michelle. We truly appreciate your taking the time to provide impactful experiences and successes and helping the next generation of justice leaders to launch into their next stages and phases. Your investment in and commitment to our students and the John Jay community is so energizing. I can't tell you how much it is. To our students, thank you for participating and being present. Please be assured that we are all invested in your success and future rewarding careers. And to everyone, alumni and the college community, enjoy tonight's program and let's learn together. Thank you, Roseanne.
Thank you, Keturah. Awesome. All right. So let's just dive right in. I know many of you are anxious to learn more from our wonderful alum. I am going to invite you to come off camera if you'd like. And if you're feeling a little shy and you don't want to be on camera, I will ask that if you don't mind, if you do have a question when the time comes, if you could come off camera at that moment. But that's, I just wanted to provide those options. So the first question, which will be of no surprise, is I'm going to ask each of our alum to just briefly tell us a little bit about themselves. And Sharon, I'll start with you.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Roseanne, for giving me this opportunity to come back and speak with alums. My name is Sharon Lead. I am a John Jay alum. I got both my bachelor's at John Jay in criminal justice and my master's in public administration. I actually started my career in law enforcement, and I worked for the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office as the executive director for community engagement and public relations. And I have to say that I actually went up the ladder in that office as the youngest non-legal African-American female to hold that position to this day. I still have that. Left in 2013, new administration, and decided that, when I started looking for a job, people were telling me that they couldn't afford me. So I ended up having to use my skills to what I learned working 18 years in the DA's office to start my own business. And that was the start of my PR firm, Netstruck PR. And from 2015 on, I have been successfully growing my business. I have been successfully talking with other people who are looking to start their own business, as well as help small businesses get into the media and really tell their story. So I'm just excited here to be here. Thanks to Roseanne and the great connections of me working with the Alumni Association, I was actually able to get an adjunct professor's position right at John Jay. So, I got taught at John Jay, got my 2 degrees there, and now I'm actually there teaching students for both undergrad and grad school for the social entrepreneurship program. So this is really an exciting moment for me. Not only am I having my own business, but I'm actually giving back to the community that helped build my educational background. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon, so much for being here. And all it took was an introduction. That's all I did. You obviously you did the rest. Um, Dr. Teresa, you're up.
Hello, everyone. I am Teresa Martin. They call me Dr. T. I am a real estate bankruptcy foreclosure defense attorney by day. I run my own practice. And, then I save lives and help build businesses and help people invest in real estate. And I decided to, after John Jay, I am an alum. After I went to John Jay, I thought I was going to be a correction officer until they told me I'd be locked behind bars. That wasn't going to work. So I had to take another path. And with that, I decided that I really just wanted to go to law school because I wanted to really get into building wealth. I come from a family of real estate investors. I got my first property when I graduated high school, and I created that whole thing with my grandchildren now, where I'm getting them properties for that. And now that whole bug is in me to help people build wealth through building businesses. And so I love to share that. So I can say that I decided a long time ago that I really don't take orders well. So I had to start my own business.
Thank you for admitting that, right? Because sometimes it's important for us to kind of be self-aware about those aspects of ourselves. So thank you. And next we have Michelle. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Roseanne and Megan, for inviting me to give me this opportunity to, talk with other successful women and come back to John Jay, even virtually, the virtual space. So now I'm Michelle, and I graduated probably more than 10 years ago. I forgot the year with my BA in public administration. Right after graduating from college, I started as a paralegal in law firms, and I work in law firm for about 10 years. From a paralegal, I work all the way to be a chief of staff. And as a chief of staff for the last 5 years, I was working 24/7 for someone else. And then I decided it's time to work for myself 24/7. I'd rather work for myself. Then I opened my business. It's called Low End Bubble Tea. It's a bubble tea cafe, and now I have 2 locations on Staten Island and one more on the way. Should be open in another 2 months. So the reason I opened my bubble tea shop is because when I was a teenager, I loved to drink bubble tea. And I think, back then I was like thinking, oh, what about if I could drink it every single day? So that's why I chose to open my bubble tea shops. Now I'm working for myself with my family members, and I am actually, an owner operator. I go to my shops, I serve clients, and day to day during at the shops, and then at night I do paperwork, a lot of paperwork as a business owner. So happy to be here.
Thank you. I think you all kind of answered my first question, which is what made you decide to start the type of business you decided to start. And so I'll just jump into the next question, which is, what are the biggest challenges to starting a business? Dr. T, why don't we start with you?
Well, I would say the number one challenge that I faced, as well as other entrepreneurs starting out, is access to capital. Really understanding that, it comes with a plan, and money just doesn't, fall on trees, even though paper, right? So they always say when you grow up, money don't grow on trees. It's actually true. And so I would say that the biggest challenge in starting a business is accessing capital. So really knowing what it is that you want to do and having a plan for that, so that you will be able to present that plan to someone who will be able to get you access to capital. So I would say that would be, in my opinion, the biggest challenges that most people face starting their own business.
Thank you so much. What about you, Sharon? What were some of your biggest challenges?
Well, mine wasn't really access to capital. And why I say that is because my business is a service-based business. So it was really utilizing my skills. I want to say the biggest challenge that I had was me coming from government. And, when you come from government, you're literally giving everything away for free. So everybody that knows you is like, oh, yeah, the work that you're giving, the services, everything that what you're giving, they're not expecting to pay for it. So my challenge was getting in the right rooms to get to the people who would accept the fact that they will pay for my services and not look for a handout, based off of that. I used to give what I do now. I used to do it for free. So that was my biggest challenge in terms of me getting into the right rooms, for people to really acknowledge and accept the fact that, what my work that I'm giving is worth paying for.
Thank you, Sharon. How about you, Michelle? I would imagine that capital is probably part of it, but are there other areas that you found very challenging?
Yes, I agree with Dr. T. Funding is number one with starting my business or in general. I think it's very important. You need your first. When I first opened my business, my first one, I opened literally right before COVID, few months before COVID. And I use all my savings, take out all my savings, every penny I have to get all the equipment, pay the deposit for the space. So funding, when you start out as a small business, you're no one. Nobody knows you. No bank's gonna lend you money. No one's gonna give you money when you're nobody, when you're not well known, established company. So funding is number one. I totally 100% agree with Dr. T in my experience as well. And then number two, in the retail, in my space, hiring good employees and retaining them is very challenging. Even full-time, part-time, we have like, a bubble tea shop. So it's like a small cafe, a small business. You have full-times, you have part-times, even with part-times, right? It's hard to hire people that you can rely on because as a small business owner or owner for any business, there's no sick day for you. You're sick, you need to have someone to call to help you open the shop. You cannot leave the shop closed. People then will think, where they go? Are they closed? So for me, both funding and hiring and retaining good people, those are my biggest challenges.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to go off script a little bit and go back to Dr. T and this challenge of finance, because I see in the background, it says fiscally fabulous. So I imagine you might have some advice for us, at least a starting point for obtaining capital.
The biggest thing that I would say is I always tell people to focus on the CIA, right? So in the business funding world, there are three types of funding out there. There's credit-based funding, which is dealing with your good personal credit. They're looking at 720. All right, so 700 and up is what they're looking for credit-based loans. That's business credit cards, things that are going to rely solely on your personal credit, where you guarantee your business with your good personal credit. So that's the first type. The second type is income-based, right? So you are growing your business and you have revenues coming through your business, 10,000 a month, the 12,500 a month. And now you don't need good personal credit. It's just running off of your revenues in your business. That's called revenue-based financing, right? And then the third type of financing would be the A, which is considered asset-based financing, right? So it's based solely on assets. So if you have a trucking company, so your trucks are equipment. If you are a cook or chef, your stoves, ovens, and things of that sort, any equipment you have, that would be equipment. And that way, 401ks, IRAs, stock portfolios, those are assets, investment real estate. So you would need good personal credit or revenue because you have assets. And so that's called asset-based financing or collateral-based financing. So those are the three types of financing out there that you can get funding from. Okay. And also, if you don't have that, then you're going to have to now separate your personal credit from your business credit. And now we have to build business credit on its own so that your social security number can be separate from your EIN number, which is your business, and your business can stand alone on financing. And that takes some time to build up. The SBA needs you to have about 2 years of financials and a blood sample from your children and all kinds of stuff to get financing. But there are alternative financing sources out there. But if you only remember anything else that I said about financing, just remember the CIA. And if you don't have the CIA, then you have to build business credit in order for you to get financing for your business.
Thank you so much. That was so thorough. I appreciate that information, as I'm sure many of our people, many of the people here listening know where to begin. They start at the CIA. I love that. So let's get started with, some of the niceties, right? Some of the rewards. Sharon, what have been the rewards of being a business owner?
So, I always go back to, when I worked for the city, when you're doing work for someone, you have to do it regardless because they're the boss. And sometimes, you would do things and you're just saying to yourself, it should be done this way, but they already have it their particular way. And, when you are your own boss, there's a couple of things that I have takeaways with. One is I can choose who I want to work with. And if it's someone that I do not resonate with. So as a publicist, it's a relationship type of business. So I have to really buy into what my clients are actually doing in order for me to really pitch effectively to the media, because if they feel the passion from me, that means they're going to definitely get the passion from my client. So I have the option of who I want to work with. The other thing is that I have the option of who I want to work with me. So, same thing of what, Michelle was talking about, just finding the right people to work for. Me building a team, it's all about who I really want to be on my team, who I want to work with. Dr. Teresa is part of my team. So when I want to do things in terms of we're getting clients to really get their credit score together, their business credit score together, I call Dr. T and I say, listen, I have this client, they have to do X, Y, and Z. And that's the whole idea in terms of me, working with who I want to work with. So those beauty parts, and then I can pick and choose the type of events I want to go to. So again, my events are, as me and Dr. T talk about it, I make things look sexy. So, I have the sexy events. I have the book signings. I do this and I do that. So I have the option of picking and choosing where I want to go, what I want to do. And, but I do the work, so it's the plus factor is that, yes, I put a lot of work into it, but my benefits are that I have fun doing it. So I really put my passion and my excitement as part of my roster and my day-to-day run with my business.
Thank you so much. How about you, Michelle? You said it was retail. You don't get sick days. I'm assuming you don't get vacation days, or you have to be very intentional about them. What are the rewards after doing all of that work and having your own cafe?
I'm so jealous of Sharon. I wish that I have the same opportunities as her, that I can choose who I serve, right? No, I can't. As a retail, you cannot refuse. I don't want to sell you bubble tea because of this, right? But the biggest reward for me is that it is not making the most profit at my shops, right? For me, it is the experience, it's the connection, it is the relationships that I establish with my customers.
Mm.
It's the small impacts that I think I'm giving them, because sometimes a lot of my customers nowadays, I became friends with them. I like to go for the extra mile to ask all my customers, when I'm obviously when I'm not so busy, when I have a chance, I'll ask them like, how's your day? Hey, you look tired. Okay. I would like to go for the extra miles to give them a different experience when they come to my shops. That's why I also enjoy being a owner operator. I hire people, but I could have just don't go to my shops every day. I go to my shops at least 6 days a week. Um, I would stay there, from shop to shop to just to see, talk to my customers. Um, when they walk out my shop with a big smile on them, when they come to tell me, "Hey, Michelle, I'm getting married, I'm getting engaged, I'm expecting a new child. I have a bad day at work, but because I give them the little extra, like, oh, you have a bad day," and I will give them like, I try to spread positive energy to my customers. I like to see them walk out my shops with a smile, and they come back every time. When I see my customer, when I see little kids run into my shop, I say, "Hey, that's the boba lady." They call me the boba lady. Like, I feel special. I feel not special that I feel special. Like, that's not exactly how it is. It's just like, the little mini interactions, little positive energies, that we exchange. That is the most rewarding to me. And throughout, it's been 3 years now that since I have my first shop. Um, I became a friends with a lot of these customers. They tell me I see their kids grow up, like from in the mom's stomach. Now they're 3 years old. So that's the most rewarding to me.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And definitely put the address of your bubble shops in the chat so that we can go.
Yes, I will. And
And
then
enjoy
maybe the
some-
next time when we have in-person meeting, I can actually bring some bubble tea.
I would love that. Thank you for offering that. Yes, I'll have to find an excuse to have you on campus. Thank you.
Yes,
How
no
about for you,
problem.
Dr. T? What are the rewards?
Well, I told you about my control issue, right? So that's the big one. Just controlling, like Sharon mentioned, being able to control my day. I'm fortunate. The most rewarding part is that I don't have to work a day in my life. Why is that? Because I have monetized my passion. And my whole thing is what I help people do when I'm teaching them. I have a whole curriculum. I have like 5 years. I can run a whole institute of basically from starting your business all the way to scaling your business and licensing. And the reason why it's so good that what I do and how I feel rewarded is because the way that I help people become profitable is tapping into that passion point. And one of the things I tell people is we want to monetize your passion. Because if you are just getting a job because you're making a lot of money, you're not going to be fulfilled in it. And it's not going to be something that you're going to be very successful in, right? And so for me, because I like telling people what to do, that's just what I do. And I get paid to do it. And so I really love it. But like Michelle mentioned, the reward of watching someone scale their business from startup. So she said how she saw her customers with the baby in the stomach, and now they're 3 years old. I get to see them birth their businesses, right? They're impregnated with their businesses, and then I get to see them 1 year, 3 year, 5 years out, and watching their revenues grow while I'm helping them, maximize their profit margins. So the most rewarding part is one, I get to tell people what to do. Two, I get to control my hours, and three, I never work a day in my life because I monetize my passion. So that's the greatest reward that I can say why I love doing what I do as an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much. I can feel the energy right through the computer. I love it. Um, so I want to get into like some practical pieces of this, because I think a lot of times people think they put up a website, they have a business, or they have an Instagram following, they have a business. But I want to start with you, Michelle. You mentioned to me that you don't have an LLC, you have an S Corp. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that. And I know that Dr. T and Sharon have LLCs. And if maybe the three of you can kind of bounce off of each other in telling the audience what the differences are.
Yes, I will try my best. Because for me, the reason I go with the S Corp is because I have a really good CPA friend. And when I started, I told him, hey, I want to start this business. Should I go with LLC or S corp? Because and then he said, a small business usually it's easier if you do just a corporation. Because with the LLC, I understand at that time you have to publish it, you have to advertise it, so much steps to get into the LLC. But if for S corp, you could just pay the filing fee and get started. So that's why I went with the S corp.
Okay. So it was
I
comfortable.
yes, it was actually. I told him, give me the most basic one, the most easiest one for me to go, because I'm not an expert in terms of what you guys do. I was like, just help me get started, and that's how I went about it.
Thank you. And you know what? And that's a real consideration, right? Let's do simple and let's get the ball rolling, right?
Correct.
Sharon, I know this is some of the work you do with your students. Do you want to expand upon maybe some of the differences of the different types of businesses people can start?
Well, I'm actually going to leave that up to Dr. Teresa because she was the one that taught my students that. But
Okay.
with me, the reason why we decided to do the LLC was I actually started my LLC. My husband actually started it when he actually got laid off, prior. So that's where the whole LLC came up. So he actually did the research and felt that it would have been ideal for us to start the business off that way. And what we did was we actually turned around and we have the umbrella of the LLC, but now we have doing business as, which is my PR business. He has his media business, and the overall, umbrella of the LLC has, has the main corp of the business, and we have those as doing business as. So we were able to do that, and again, I wish that when I started my business, I wish I had a Dr. Teresa to tell me, which one would be, because if I would have known the S Corp, I probably would have went with the S Corp. But, my LLC is doing well. We actually did put everything in. It was, again, it was a learning challenge. It was a learning curve for us when we first started. That's why I always recommend to get someone like a Dr. T or get an attorney when you are deciding to go into business, because there are so many variants to this. So, it's a sole proprietorship, it's the LLC, it's the S Corp, it's the corporation. Like, which one do you really want to go into? So I highly recommend, if anyone is going into business, speak with Dr. Teresa or get an attorney, because it's definitely, you don't want to do it on your own.
Thank you, Sharon. Good advice. So Dr. T, you want to give us the quick and dirty of all of this, all of these options?
The one thing I want to make sure everyone, puts in the back of their mind is that your best friends in going into business will be your attorney and your CPA. They kind of work together, because while your, CPA is protecting your assets, and your attorney is protecting your compliance and your legal obligations, you want to make sure that when you're forming your entity, if you will, and an S Corp is not an entity. Okay, it's not a type of entity. It's a special tax election. Okay, in order to be eligible for a S Corp, you have to either be a LLC or a corporation and choose how you're going to be taxed. So it's Chapter S is a chapter that you select. So it's not an entity type, and a lot of people get confused with that, but it's not. What I do want you to know is that in order for you to know what entity to form, you have to know what you're going to be doing in the business, right? Michelle, S Corp works well for her, one, for the ease, and two, because she's retail, right? And so it's a pass through, so she can pass through her taxes through the S Corp and things of that sort, which is probably why her CPA told her to do that. But for my clients who are real estate or who have high liability type businesses, they're going to form an LLC, because by the very name, it's a limited liability company, right? So you limit your liability with an LLC, which is why most people elect an LLC. The reason why most traditional attorneys and or CPAs do not elect LLCs and LLPs, limited liability partnerships, is because it's the new guy on the block. You know, it has not been around as long as everything else. And so some people don't feel as comfortable. I love LLCs because of the limited liability that it brings. However, once an entity is making a certain amount of monies or they're moving into different revenues and businesses, I may then convert my LLC clients into C Corps or an LLC with the S Corp or something like that. So it always moves depending on where you start from and where you plan on going. So in order for you to choose what entity you're going to go into, you have to know what you're going to be doing, what work you plan on doing, and having at least a 3-year plan so that you can foreshadow what would be the best entity and the best state. Just because you live in New York doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to form a New York entity. It might be a foreign entity. So those are some of the things, Roseanne, that I would love to just let people simmer with, because it's not as easy as just, okay, I'm going to do an LLC, an LLP, an S Corp, a nonprofit, or what have you. There are some thought processes that need to go into that, and you need a team to help you work out and make that decision. Just don't go on LegalZoom, okay, because it's cheap, because this is going to be your asset. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right information and you're not checking boxes that they're not asking you. So that's one of the things that I do want to make sure that I leave with the audience today.
And there's, you don't want to go with LegalZoom, but there is a lot of introductory information that you can find online to at least get you started on the knowledge, right? Until you're ready to kind of ask the experts, excuse me. But that was really great. And just for everyone on here, we are recording this and we will put it on our YouTube channel. So, if you're not sure, if you're taking copious notes, it's okay. Put the pen down. We are recording this. And also for those of you that don't know, if you click the 3 dots in the chat, you can save the chat. So you can save the address to Michelle's 2 bubble shops. And also I'll ask Sharon and Dr. T to put their websites in the chat as well when they get a moment. All right. So I have one last question before I put you all in the breakout rooms. And I'll start with you, Sharon. What is the most important piece of advice you have for someone who makes the decision to start their own business?
So I would say the best advice is make sure that you love what you're doing. You go into business and you don't like it, it's a job. So you definitely want to love what you're doing. You have your grand scam ideas and dreams that you want to put it in place. So make sure that you have your purpose and your passion all wrapped up in one, so you understand that this is what you're going to do. This is what you're lined up to do. And then the next thing I would say is get yourself an attorney and a CPA, is what Dr. Teresa said. Those are they have to be your best friends. If you don't have them in place to get that foundation in place for you, you will definitely see the challenges, and I mean bigger challenges what an average business will have. So you don't want to start off like that. So again, your purpose and your passion, love what you're doing, pull your gifts out, put all of that into your, into setting up your business, and then find a very good CPA and attorney to help you get your entities together. Make sure that you get your EIN number, your bank account, and everything, and just move with it. Do a lot of networking. People need to know who you are. They need to know what you're doing. Even if you didn't even put it in place yet, people need to know what your vision is so they can help you. So networking is the next thing I would say. Don't sit behind the desk. Now things are opening. So definitely start networking, going outside, go talk to people, let people know, find out where events are, go on Eventbrite. I find events on Eventbrite all the time. Facebook. Those are the things that I would advise folks to do, that if you are really, really strong and passionate about something that you love to do, take those steps.
Yeah. And with that, make sure that you're following us on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So we have a John Jay alumni group. All you have to do is put John Jay College alumni in the search in LinkedIn and in Facebook, and I will go ahead and accept, and you're in, and we share information about events there as well. How about you, Dr. T? What's the one biggest piece of advice you have for us?
I would just second what Sharon mentioned, strategic alliances, partnerships, because remember we talked about the biggest problem or challenge would be access to capital. You might know the know-how, but someone else may have the capital. And then you guys can joint venture and you can, partner up, or they can introduce you to someone who can help you realize your vision. So as Sharon mentioned, as far as the purpose and the passion, I'll add one more. I would say the passion plus the profit equals the profits, right? You put people before profits, but then everything comes all in one, and then optimizing that plan. So never go out to do anything without a plan. So you plan to network, right? When I go to networking events, I plan it out, who I want to meet, like who's going to add value to my network, right? And then once I find those people, then I go and talk to everyone else. But I am very purposeful in my networking because I want to grow solid strategic alliances so that I can help my clients, I can help my business grow, and things of that sort. So my one and a half piece of advice is strategic alliances and making sure that you align your passion and your purpose so that you can have the profits.
Excellent. Thank you. How about you, Michelle?
I want to tell people that if you want to start business, always remember it's okay to fail again, and it's okay. It's fine. You just have to have a backup plan to get back up. For me, like what I said before, I'll share with you guys my story briefly. I opened my shop literally a few months before COVID, and because of COVID, I'm not the only one. All the retails, everyone has to be home for several months. And in addition to the COVID, my shop also had a fire. Because of a fire, I had to stop business for over a year. And as I tried to reopen my shop, Hurricane Ida hit. So I had the COVID, the fire, the Hurricane Ida. It flooded my shops. I had to take out trying to get money from my parents, see if they have to help me out to get back up. For me, I like what Sharon and Dr. T said. You need to know your vision, and I knew my vision from when I was a kid. I love to drink bubble tea. I'm not gonna let that, knock me out. I get back up. I know that's my vision. I know no matter what, if I'm still in this universe, I'm still gonna have my bubble tea shop. So, for me, I always tell people it's okay to fail. Just need to know how to get back up. And then I guess if you go for retail, you need to get, my business is a little different than Dr. T and Sharon's. In retail, you need to have a really, really good location. I have two shops now. My first shop, great location. Second shop, I did not do as much research. I thought I had a good location, but it's just okay. But because it's just an okay location versus a great location, your business could be a net positive to net negative. So as retail or food truck or anything, you need to have a really, really good location. So it's okay to get fail and good location.
I love that. Network, location, right? And I
profit.
and profit. Yeah. Yes, we like that. We like that. I put in the chat the article about Michelle's what happened with Michelle and the fire and Hurricane Ida, so that you can read a story of resilience and grit, and so that you can feel further inspired by these women. So thank you, ladies, so much. That was really a fruitful conversation. And what I want to do for all of you now who are here, we're going to have 3 breakout groups. I'm going to have each of our speakers in one breakout group, and they're going to do just some group coaching and some, feel free to ask them questions and get more detail from them. This is an opportunity for you to network. Even if you're not sure what you want to do, even if you're in the room with Michelle, but you don't want to necessarily do retail. This is an opportunity for you to network with her and learn what she has learned, because there are underlying lessons, whether you have retail, whether you're service, whether you're completely online, et cetera, et cetera. So if you just give us one moment, please stick with us. My trusty colleague, Megan, who's around here somewhere, is putting the breakout rooms together. I'm going to have you in those breakout rooms for about 20, 25 minutes. I want to give you quality time. And then by 7:10, I will bring you back and we'll close out. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope that those were fruitful sessions for all of you. We've come to the end of our program, and I just want to give a big, huge thank you to Sharon, Dr. T, and Michelle. You know, we wish you continued success in your business endeavors, and we look forward to having you on campus in person at some point. We already have a save the date for Alumni Reunion, which is on October 26th of this year. So I hope to see everyone there who is an alum or even a student. Any closing words, Sharon, Dr. T, or Michelle?
My closing words is that, like I said, if you have a strong passion and a gift, definitely put that into profit, because you will lose the opportunity to see if this is even, something that you can pursue. So do not just leave your dream down to, just a dream. Put it into fruition.
Thank you. Dr. T, Michelle.
I will just say that seconding what Sharon mentioned, as we talked about in the group, I will really want you guys to really think about what it is that you want to do, and make sure you check those trademarks before you start naming stuff. One of the things that I shared before we got in, it was 40 seconds, is if you're naming your website, if you're naming your book, if you're naming your workshop, whatever, you do want to make sure you check trademark first, because you don't want to, use a name that you just thought in your head, and someone had the thought before you, and they have a trademark like Physically Fabulous. I'll give you a warning if you use that name, but then I'll send you a cease and desist not to use that, because that's a registered trademark. But one of the things, you want to do that, because building your trademark is also an asset. So you want to make sure that, you check trademark before you just go out willy-nilly, just naming things stuff. Okay, so that's the last parting words that I wanted to say.
Great advice. Michelle, any parting words?
Yeah, like you want to go do it, do it. Don't think you cannot do it without even trying it. It's okay. Go for it. If your gut tells you that's what you wanted to do, go for it. Always. We only live once. Go for it. It's okay to fail. It's always there's a way to get back up.
Thank you. You can find all three of these women on LinkedIn. Just go ahead and type their names into the search box. And as far as someone had a question about where do you check trademark, I think you could just Google
Yes.
trademark. And
just go on Google, because a long crazy name is a link, because it's crazy. Just put in trademark search, and then it'll come up, and only do the actual government. So if it has GOV at the end, that's a legitimate site.
Link you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone who's here, I so appreciate you being with us after 6 o'clock. I'm sure you had long days, and trust me, it doesn't go without notice that you're here with us and engaging with my office. And I appreciate all of you for that. And if I can be of service in any way, please reach out to alumni@jjay.cuny.edu. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.